we'll start out with our not safe for work by the New York assistant attorney general. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was the actual attorney general or if it was one of the assistants, but the New York attorney general had this to say about Governor Cuomo the other day.
Than 74,000 pieces of evidence, including documents, emails, texts, audio files, and pictures. These interviews and pieces of evidence reveal a deeply disturbing yet clear picture. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws.
So not good for Governor Cuomo. You know, remember, it was only, and Chris, maybe we can find this clip to interject it here. It was only 6-8 months ago that all the Hollywood elite were lining up to talk about how Governor Cuomo was amazing. And I think they gave him an Emmy or something for like his daily updates on COVID. And they were really lionizing Governor Cuomo as this amazing governor who had dealt with the pandemic in such an amazing way. And it turns out, A, they were wrong because he kind of ignored the science and sent a bunch of elderly people back to senior care centers who were COVID positive, who then infected a bunch of other people who then sadly passed away. I mean, if you look at the number of elderly people who died in the state of New York compared to other states, some of that, in fairness, is because like everybody's packed in there like sardines. So COVID probably travels and is much more communicable there. I will give him that. But Governor Cuomo made a lot of missteps during COVID, and I don't feel like he has been appropriately criticized in the media for that. Now, what's interesting is, will these sexual allegations, where even President Biden chimed in and said, well, yeah, he should step down, he should resign based on these sexual allegations. Everybody's kind of weighing in on this. Governor Cuomo has refused to step down. He's saying that all 14 of these women who accused him and the attorney general reviewed their text messages, photos, video messages, you know, transcripts of voicemails and stuff, and agrees that he sexually harassed them, but whatever. He's saying, no, I'm going to fight it. I'm not going to step down. Now, we've seen this play out before, right? Where, let's just use a different example. Republican, it gets found out that 30 years ago he wore blackface or a ethnically insensitive costume, and he's done. His career is over. But, you know, a Democratic governor, who was the governor that they found was wearing blackface, but he was a Democrat, so he came out and he apologized, and, you know, he did all the right things, and he asked the mea culpa, and he's still in office, and I don't think that would happen if he was a conservative. But we've seen this before where sometimes there's a little bit of a double standard, right? And, you know, going back to the Supreme Court hearings, I personally think that, you know, had Trump not stood up so dramatically for Kavanaugh, I think the allegations of one person from when he was in high school, I think that would have been enough to derail his appointment to the Supreme Court. But I think Trump standing up for him caused that to happen, whether you agree or disagree. I think that's the only reason that Kavanaugh is a Supreme Court justice. Now, here is why, and maybe you're hearing it first, here is why Governor Cuomo will not be governor within the next couple of months, and the Democrats will pile on to him, make sure he resigns, make sure that he is vilified and villainized. I'm gonna have to look that up. I always misuse one of those words. One of those words doesn't exist, and one of those words is correct. I don't know if it's vilify or villainize. I think it's vilified. So they will vilify him. They will use this as proof that they will even excommunicate one of their own, you know, in a Me Too type movement. However, if you think back to the credible claims of sexual harassment against Clinton, and actually the credible claims of sexual harassment against Biden during this most recent presidential campaign, the reason it's different, right? Biden's our president, Clinton was our president. There's been sexual allegations against both of them, is because Cuomo's not really in a position of policy making, or he's not really part of the power structure. Yes, he's a governor of a giant state, maybe the most or one of the most important states in the union. Yes, he was, like I said, lionized as this amazing leader of the Democratic Party less than a few months ago on the Emmys and the Oscars, and how he dealt with COVID, even though I would disagree that that was a true statement. But at the end of the day, he's not important for national policy. He doesn't actually have a vote in the legislature of New York on how they deal with things. He's not part of the inner circle of the power structure. He's definitely not running for president now. And because of that, Democrats will definitely throw him out with yesterday's trash. And they'll use this as a chest pounding moment of like, see, me too. We understand that like all women's allegations should be taken seriously. And if somebody accuses you of something involving sexual harassment, you should step down. You should lose your job. You should lose your career. Now, call me crazy, I think that anybody should have the right to go through a legal proceeding and go through a court hearing before they lose their job. I think that should have been true for, I think that should be true for the Clintons. And I think that should be true for Biden. If there's, allegations out there that can turn into a legal complaint, I think that should be true for Cuomo. I think the way that the Supreme Court hearing was handled with Kavanaugh, where they brought in the accuser, she testified, they brought in the accused, he testified. I think that's great. I'm all about, if somebody sexually harasses women, they should pay the piper, they should lose their job, they should go to jail. And I also think we should not be in this habit of there's an allegation made, so now you are canceled, fired, you're a pariah or a leper, and you can no longer be seen in the public eye. But I do think the Democrats, because Cuomo is not part of the power structure, he's not a part of the lawmaking process, I think they will throw him under the bus and they will pile on and say, hey, before trial, you need to resign. We need to show this show of force that we support the Me Too movement. But they absolutely would not do that when there were credible allegations against Biden or against Clinton, because obviously one of the most important people in the power structure dynamic in the country. So I think this time it will be different, and I don't think Cuomo will be governor in 90 days. We'll see. These links really don't really mean anything. It's just, it is just kind of funny how things have changed, right? It wasn't that long ago. I remember in the 90s that Bill Clinton was accused from multiple women. And there were reporters like, what was her name? I just looked it up here. I could not remember. I originally thought it was Gloria Steinem, but it wasn't. It was this reporter, Michelle Goldberg. No, I can't even find it now. There was this reporter that famously said, hey, because of how Bill Clinton has protected women reproductive rights and so on, like I and every other woman in the country should be willing to get down on our knees and give him a blowjob. And it's like, that was in the 90s. The thought of hearing that today, it's probably pretty good that that's changed. But it's amazing how the attitude and the kids' gloves in which these sexual assault charges were handled back in the Bill Clinton era would now cause you to not even be able to be seen in the public eye. Probably before trial, you definitely wouldn't be able to run for president, although I do believe everybody is owed a trial.